Hello everybody, my name is John Mike, and welcome to my new recording area. Created with 100% child labor, or almost adult labor at this point. Jesus Christ, the years go by. Yeah. So you may be wondering what stirred me to make this, and you may think that it's the recent swap sake in April Fools, but actually, it's not. I recently got around to playing the Noob and Sixer Lore games, you know, the Memories or Nightmares or whatever the hell they're called, and I really like them. So naturally, now that I have a full grasp of their lore together, I decided to, swap them, because obviously I didn't know much about their lore before, but, well, now I do, and I want to, this is self-explanatory, whatever. You didn't come here for me to yap, you came here to watch a speed paint and some lore. So, let's get into it. Now, if you know the lore of Guest 666, you relatively know the lore of this Guest 666. Introverted, made friends with the noob, had a bunch of fun, eventually started using, code or something, steroids, TLDR, to make them better at certain games. Noob got concerned because it was definitely affecting Guest 666's health, and then, they had an argument, falling out. Guest 666 got a bit rough, Noob walked off, and then Guest 666 got picked up by the Spectre. But that's not exactly how it happens here. You see, Guest 666 doesn't get picked up by the Spectre directly after their confrontation with Noob at the beach. No. It actually happens, roughly half a month after that happens, in which time Guest 666 basically just reverts to how they were before they met Noob. Shut in, no friends, just sits around all day, they don't really visit the beach that often, but aside from that, just basically the same. Also, they have a trench coat and a weird arm now, because, the arm was in the beach story, so I wanted to include that in the design, and also, I didn't want to just draw a guest with red face and a weird hand. I wanted to put a trench coat on them, okay? I like drawing trench coats, leave me be. In this design, Guest 666 is holding their needle, because that is a part of one of their abilities, the claw, which is a part of another ability, and as I said, it's basically just a guest with with a black face, a weird corrupted arm, and a syringe. It's basically it. I originally intended Guest 666 to be a survivalist, much like Noob. However, over time, that actually changed to Sentinel, mostly revolving around Guest 666's original ability, involving blood. Whenever any non-Guest 666 player gets attacked, they drop blood, equal to triple the amount of damage that, was dealt to drop the blood. If any Guest 666 player can collect this blood, however, it maxes out at 150, at which point they cannot collect blood until that runs out. How do they use blood? Well, with their abilities. All of their abilities involve blood. For example, Claw requires 50 blood, which is essentially like Jane Doe's axe swing. They go forward, and if they hit the killer, they're stunned for 3 seconds. And, yeah, that's basically it. This also unintentionally serves to prevent the same effect that Jane Doe has, where if there are enough of them around, things can get hard, because only non-Guest 666 players can drop blood. So, if you have too many of them, you can't collect blood, and they're essentially just useless. Their walk speed is faster than average, their sprint speed is slower than average, and they have 116 HP because, well, they're a Sentinel. And yeah, that's basically it. So without further ado, let's go straight on to Noob, or Divinity. Now, I had a lot of trouble with Noob's design, because, believe it or not, the first one doesn't really have anything to build off of, and, if I just made it Noob but red, I feel like the comments would burn me alive in virtual effigy. So, that's not really a path we can go down, and also it would make this speed paint very, very short. So, naturally, I went a different route. Just put a ton of vintage stuff on there. I have the katana from Noob's Milestone 4 skin, the knife from Murder Mystery 2, the Bloxy collar that they have in the original design, the Spectre symbol, because, well, we'll get into that in the lore section, Trollolo's invisibility cape, yeah, that's what it's called, Trollolo, the bandages for the lore section, again, later, and finally some, angelic stuff, because, well, I got rid of the devil stuff on Guest 666, may as well add some Christian stuff to Noob. Which is actually, funnily enough, another part of the lore, which I'll explain just now, actually. Noob, or Divinity as they're known in the Forsaken realm, follows the exact same path as they did back in, well, regular Forsaken. You know, makes friends with Sixer, has a good ton of fun, however eventually gets concerned with the Guest 666's health, with drugs or something, and tries to confront them about it on the beach where they met. Now, in the original game, Noob is just smacked around a bit by Guest before running off. However, in this, Guest 666 get a little bit carried away and, well, kills Noob. To this point that Noob basically just accepts their fate. They're gonna die, here on the beach, oh well. However, that's when a red mist encircles them. That's right, Spectre. Spectre essentially gives Noob a deal. Well, after a lot of buttering up, being like, oh, Guest 666, that guy's a real prick. You know, they just left you for dead, that kinda sucks. And then after a lot of buttering up, now Spectre gives them the deal. Spectre will save Noob. In fact, they'll upgrade them to a certain extent. However, in exchange, Noob has to take part in a certain game, which, considering they're bleeding out in the middle of a beach, Noob accepts. And thus, Divinity was reborn. Now, considering Divinity is Noob, they play almost exactly like Slasher, being mostly a rushdown killer, able to turn invisible, with essentially a gashing wound type attack, and overall just being essentially just a Slasher for this kind of swapped Forsaken. Rushdown, focus on survivors, tire them out, and deal the finishing blow. And also turn invisible and gashing them, because, I don't know, I wanted to put the I wanted to put the invisibility cape on Divinity, and, you know, you can't put the invisibility cape on someone and not have them turn invisible. That's insane. So, yeah, that was Divinity. Basically just Slasher, but with a couple tweaks, just to make them more like, Noob. But anyway, that's it. Yay. And there you have it, everyone. Guest 666 and Noob, or Divinity if you want to call them that. Honestly, I feel like these two came out really well, especially Noob, considering what I was given, and, how I didn't just draw Noob but red. I was tempted to do that for the memes, but again, the comments would have burnt me at the stake. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe. If you have any questions about these guys, make sure to leave it in the comment down below. And I'll see you all tomorrow with a brand new video. Until then, that's all from me. Bye.